many people in America fear their government, and the government is being run by too many powerful agencies like the IRS and others. I think it's time the people take the country back through their representative government.
Hey, Mr. Politician, living on that hill, living in that lap of luxury on we the people's bill. Don't have a clue how the other half lives, and that is a shame. It's time to stop the tyranny. You keep pushing through your bills. Going for a revolution, going for it now. It's time to save our Constitution while we still got the guns in our hands.
Hi, welcome to Freedom TV. I'm your host, Renee Kimball. And this week it's going to be a little bit of a free-form show. This is the first time in over 18 months that we've actually had a guest not show up. Boo! So we're going to be doing a few different things, but I am going to be showing you some of the pictures, and what the pictures are is about body modifications. So Clint Turlock was supposed to be here with us, and he was going to be discussing body modification in the way of things like piercings. So we'll be talking a little bit about that, and as an added bonus, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be opening up the phones. So especially if you're interested in piercing or don't like piercing, you'll have an opportunity to call in and voice your opinion about it and tell me why you do or don't like it. Or if you have experience of having piercings, I'd like to hear from you today too. So that'll be a little bit later in the show. But the first thing that we're going to be doing today is my Sovereign Soapbox, and I have a very special entry for you today. So we'll start with Sovereign Soapbox. And our Sovereign Soapbox this week is Bad Lady Margaret Carter. Bad. She gets the Golden Fleece Award. This is an award that's presented by Common Sense of Oregon, and boy, does she earn it. Normally, I kind of like Margaret and some of the things she does, but boy, she went off the mark on this one. Because during the 2009 legislative session, former State Senator Margaret Carter served as a co-chair on the Joint Ways and Means Committee, which approved a bill that appropriated funds to the Department of Human Services in 2009 legislation session. The measure, HB 2009, authorized the creation of additional deputy director positions. Gee, she created these positions. Oh, and guess what? Margaret Carter was hired as the deputy director for human services programs. Ta-da! Now, when she was a senator, she only got $21,612. Well, when she got the new position, she earned $121,872. My God, that's $100,000 more than she was making as a state senator. Bit suspect. So Carter's employment in the new lucrative position was actually very assured. First, Carter lobbied the director of the Department of Human Services for the position. Great. It is not entirely clear when Carter started lobbying for the position, before or after HB 2009 became law. Who cares? She shouldn't have been lobbying for the position at all. She helped to create it. But it is clear that Carter wanted the $100,000 pay rise. Gee, wouldn't we all? Second, Carter lobbied the governor's office for the position. She's going to talk to everybody for it. Finally, unlike most candidate recruitment efforts that interview numerous candidates for an open position, especially a position with the responsibilities as the Deputy Director of Human Services Programs, the Department of Human Services only interviewed Carter for the job. Great, virtually guaranteeing her employment as the new deputy director. There's more, but if you'd like the full story on this, please go to Common Sense for Oregon, and you can hear all about the Golden Fleece Award. They do some really creative and clever ideas about people who really should not be doing the kinds of things that they're doing, and they're really fleecing we the people, because guess whose money pays for all this? It's yours and mine. Government doesn't have any money except that which we give it. So there is no such thing as government funds or government pays for it. No, we pay for that. So Margaret got a $100,000 pay rise for a job that she helped create. Gee, I wish I could do that. So now we're going to go to our regular segment, Surviving and Thriving. But first I'd like to tell you, we are going to be showing some graphic stuff later on. This is, you're forewarned. These pictures are very intense. Some of them are very intense. So it's your viewing pleasure. They are G-rated. There's nothing, risque or sexual about them. We're not going to be showing piercings of body parts that you can't show on camera, but some of the stuff will be disturbing, so it is up to you to decide whether you want to view. We will give you a warning ahead of time, so at that time you can just go and, blog or, get a cut sandwich or something like that, or get a drink, whatever, and come back and sit down and it'll all be over. So now we're going to go to Surviving and Thriving, and this is going to be Chris Janowski, and he's going to be doing tin can uses. These are all the kinds of things that you can do with a simple tin can that you might find in the woods. So sit back and relax and enjoy tin can uses.
Old tin cans are found almost everywhere. Any place you could possibly think of going, there's tin cans. And actually, it's a pretty valuable find
show
for you
them
in a survival situation. Should you find one, snag it and keep it. We can use a tin can for all kinds of things. The first, the most obvious probably to you, is a cup. We've got to have a way to get drinking water and to comfortably drink it without laying on our face all the time. That works out real well. We can boil water in it. There's all kinds of things that we can use this cup for. We can collect berries in the cup, have a way of keeping them. We can crush the berries in the cup to make a juice. Out of the lid, if you find a tin can, the lid's not far. Usually it's still attached partially. Out of the lid, you can make a fine survival knife. One of the ways we do this is you take your lid, and if you want to get a nice straight edge, you might want to smash this, a stone against a stone, and try to really get it nice and straight. You could form it to however you want it. Then you're going to take and go about 2/3 of the way up this can and bend it there. This gives you a nice surface so you're not going to cut yourself on. Just by nature of the way the can is cut, when they open it with an opener, it gives you a pretty sharp edge. You might want to elaborate on that edge some, though. And what you're going to do then, and sooner or later you're going to have to, the more you use the knife, is take a stone, and start sharpening one side of that tin can. This is a pretty sharp can to begin with, but none of them are real dull. And you keep sharpening with a stone and keep going down to a smoother and smoother stone. And sooner or later you'll have a knife just like you'd buy at the store. This is shaped very similar to what they call an ulu, what the Eskimos use. And you can see, just from a tin can, you've got something that'll do work for you now. Fishing lures. We can take pieces, bend them off and break them, make nice fishing lures. If you've got your survival kit together with you, you've got a couple little split rings and some spare hooks, and you can work up nice little spoons, nice little fishing lures, and they do work rather well. Here's that can we were using before. We're going to use it again to do some work for us. You got to pick this stuff up when you find it and you're in a survival situation. The can thing sort of bothers me. It's a shame that no matter where you go in the wilderness, basically, you will find a tin can somewhere. Anyhow, what we're going to do with this tin can now, I've got some water in it from the stream, and we suspect giardia here, especially because we see beavers out there. So we're going to boil this water. And we're going to address something about this water and drinking water here. An easy way to do this, if you've got your little bit of a survival kit made up for yourself, you're going to have some wire in there. If not, you should have a couple of small snares. You could use a snare for this. Something that's not going to burn very readily. All you need to do here to make a real fast way to boil this water is cut a couple of short sticks that have got V's and crotches so we can interlock them. Cut a longer one. The longer one especially has got to be green wood because you don't want it to burn over the fire. You're going to take one end of the stick and drive it in the ground to give yourself a little bit of support. Take the other stick, stick it in there, take your third stick, put that in there, set those a little bit, and you've got a pretty strong little gizmo here that you can use for cooking food or boiling water. I'm going to take just a fine piece of wire, hang it on our stick, and all we got to do is wait a little while and we're going to have some water.
Hi, welcome back to Freedom TV. I hope you enjoyed Chris Janowski. He was quite the man. Unfortunately now he's passed on, but he does have a lot of exceptional information about surviving in the wilderness with absolutely minimal equipment and things that you have on you. So in the future we're going to be showing one that he does where he actually shows you how to survive with what you have on you and check your pockets and find out what you can do with those particular things. So now we don't have a guest today. We're going to be having some pictures, however, that I did glean about piercing, and we're going to be talking about body piercing. I thought it was kind of an interesting subject because I've been noticing more and more there are people who are getting not just ear piercings. I've got little ear piercings, little, single hole jobs that are normal that people have seen for decades, but they're getting more and more elaborate piercings. So if you're not into seeing parts of the body pierced and things of metal sticking out of them, please, now's the time for going and getting a sandwich or a cool drink. Maybe check your email, whatever you'd like to do. But for about the next 10 minutes, we're going to be seeing some pictures that some people might find a little disturbing. So if we can start bringing up the graphics, we'll start discussing some of these things about piercing. Now, piercing isn't just for the person on the street. These are some celebrities who you can see. One has a lip piercing and another one has a belly button piercing. This seems to be all the rage with celebrities. So it isn't just, woe-begotten youth who are getting piercings. It seems to be a phenomena that's happening all over the place. Now, these are some normal piercings that you'll see, and the one on the ear is sort of an ear cuff. I've noticed a few people have them, and apparently the ear isn't all that sensitive when you pierce it, so it's not all that tough to go through the ear. I know when I had mine pierced again for the third time, it really wasn't that big of a deal. If I'd known how easy it was going to be and how painless it was going to be, I would have had it done long ago. The last time I did my own ears, I did it myself, and it was pretty dramatic. Not to mention the fact I didn't get one straight. Now, the one on the eyebrow is kind of interesting. This is actually going through a part of the eyebrow, and it's decorative. I mean, people are doing them and using them as body decoration, which for me, it's fine. I don't care. I mean, it's your body. It's not mine. It's not for me to say what you should be doing with your body and what should be allowed with your body. It's your body. And the one down at the bottom is called the Monroe, and it's a piercing that looks like Marilyn Monroe's mole. Go figure. Who wants a metal mole? And on the inside of your lip, you're going to have this thing that it's rubbing against. I don't know. It's not for me. I really wouldn't be doing it, but I can see how it would be attractive and people would like doing it. Now, here we have some things on your tongue. Now this, I've got to admit, this is the body piercing I really do not understand. You're going to take your major communication tool and you're going to shove something through it that is going to disable your ability to communicate. I don't get it. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. And the woman on the right there seems to have one that, I don't know, it looks like a barbell of some kind. I don't understand doing this one. I mean, I can understand and appreciate a lot of the other piercings, even some of the very strange ones. But tongue piercing is one I do not quite grasp. However, I have been told by a few people who are supposedly knowledgeable on this subject that it does have something to do with pleasure during sexual encounters. I don't know if anybody has any information on that with tongue piercings. If you can call later after this segment, after the next roll-in, we are going to open up the phones and we would enjoy having you call in and letting me know a little bit about this. I don't know very much about piercing. Okay, the next one. This is belly jewelry. It's about the only thing I can call it, and I can actually understand and see how people would find this very sensual and very sexual. It's a little overdone for me. I would have stopped with 2 or 3, but you know, hey, if you like it and it jingles around and looks like fun, it's interesting. I've got to admit, it's very entertaining, and I'm sure that most people would not be able to keep their eyes off of it if somebody walked into a room sporting something like this. I know for myself, I couldn't keep my eyes off a woman who had a tattoo on her lower back. It was just hypnotic. You kept on looking at it. So whether people do this to attract attention to themselves or whether they just like the sound of it moving around, I don't know, but there are a lot of people who are getting more and more of them. This is another one at the eyebrow. This is a little ring, and you can see the little bead on the right-hand side. That little bead is actually a pressure bead between the ring, and if you spread the ring apart a little bit, the bead drops out and then you can take it off, but it does look like it's, you know, almost permanent. And then the one on the left is another eyebrow decoration, and I've got to admit, it looks interesting, it's entertaining, and it looks very decorative. I have no problem with people, you know, decorating their bodies with whatever they want to decorate it with. Now we have some interesting ear arrangements. The one on the left is, I don't know. This one seems a little bit dangerous to me. I would feel like if you caught that on something, oh my God, you would be doing some real damage to your ear, or, you know, hanging you up as you tried to jump out of an airplane. I don't know. I don't think I'd be doing the one on the left. The one on the right, multiple piercings. I've seen a lot of this, and you know, I find it interesting, decorative. The one on the bottom, the 2 on the bottom, these are called, I can't remember, they're called posts, and I was going to ask our guest about them. They don't seem to have an out. They have an in, but they don't seem to have an out. If anybody who's in the audience has had any of these piercings or knows anything more about them, I'd be very interested in finding out, how do you do this? How does this work? It looks like it's kind of, you know, a screw going into your body. And is that the case, or is there some kind of anchor behind the skin that's holding it in? It sort of, you know, looks a little bit, I don't know, Frankensteinish, because it looks like it's actually going into your body rather than just a piercing where it goes in one side and out the other. The same thing with the thing on the fingers. It doesn't, it looks like it's going into the bone, which is kind of weird for me. Now, here we have, I don't know. These are exciting. I'm sorry, can't imagine doing the ones on the right and at the bottom. There's just body parts I think that it would be really, really uncomfortable to pierce. And those are it. But apparently some people find it interesting, entertaining. I don't know. The tongue one is a bit interesting because there are actually 3 things there. And I can't help but wonder, how long does it take you to learn how to talk around this stuff? I mean, it's really, I can't imagine having that, because it's hard enough for me to get words out in a correct and proper fashion to begin with, and I don't have anything in my tongue. So I can imagine trying to relearn how to talk with these things in your tongue. And as for the nipple rings, I don't know. Now, these are ones that are a little bit more exotic. The woman on the left has multiple piercings on her face. And the thing that I was going to ask Clint, especially with the guy on the right and the woman on the left, does this scar when you take those out? If you decide not to have these anymore, does this leave scars in your tissue? The fellow on the right actually has it through his eyelid, and I was wondering if that affects your eyeball. Does it rub against your eyeball, or does it just kind of glance over the top of it and not really touch it at all? Again, interesting, decorative, and again, these bodies belong to these people, and as far as I'm concerned, go for it. I enjoy watching it. Now here we have a few things that are a bit more exotic. This is a nose, kind of a bone. And to be honest with you, primitive societies, I know Aboriginal societies in Australia, there's a lot of bone piercing in the nose. And in Africa, there's one group of people who do a piercing that's this huge big tusk that goes through the cartilage in the center of your nose. The person on the right, this is called a ribbon piercing, where you actually decorate the piercings with a ribbon afterwards. So again, exotic, different. The one on the right seems a bit, I don't know, dangerous. If you were going to go out in public, you might catch it on something, but again, you know, these are the kinds of things that people want to do. The fellow on the left, again, multiple tongue piercings, which is kind of exotic and interesting. Now, this, I've seen a number of people lately who have these plugs in their ears. And you see a lot of this in Native African tribes. There are a few of them that do this kind of thing. You can see the plug has actually extended the hole in his ear on the left-hand side of the screen, and it looks, you know, like it's filled up with the plug in it. And on the right, what results when you take out the plug is there is a great big hole that he's put this large jade ring in, and it has this elongated look to it. Again, body decoration, body modification. People are modifying bodies. This has been going on for thousands of years. Remember the women who had their, quote, necks stretched with brass rings? Well, I mean, you know, it's something that societies have done throughout the ages, throughout the world. So I don't know why anyone would be surprised that in modern times people wouldn't want to do it also. Now here we're coming to the close of some of our pictures here, and you can see the one on the left, I don't know, I just find it a bit disturbing. It looks like somebody shot his earlobe off or something. It's a big open ring, and it's, again, creative body decoration. And the two gentlemen on the right not only have piercings, but they have full body tattoos. Personally, I like tattoos. I find them very interesting. I find them very provocative and very entertaining. I like to see people with tattoos, and I enjoy the fact that they've been creative. Well, I like the creative ones. There are some that, you know, like are pretty, you know, done with needles in the back rooms that are kind of blah and uninviting, but, you know, these are kind of very entertaining. They're all over their body, and they're artwork. Now here's some of the jewelry that I pulled off the internet, which is kind of interesting. All the different kinds of things you can get to do with some of these piercings. Up at the top is kind of a very unusual bauble thing that I guess goes through the ear, and then it dangles down. And the ones on the right are different colors, there's different materials. You can get silver, gold, stainless steel, platinum, which seems like a very expensive way to have a body piercing, but apparently it is one of the metals that there's the least reaction to. The plugs down on the right-hand side, there's different gauges, all the way from tiny little ones. They're about an eighth of an inch across to ones that are, you know, a good 2 inches across. So you can get the plugs. Again, I imagine if you're going to do what that one fellow did, you would graduate up and slowly stretch out the earlobe. Here's some other things that people have put in body piercings. Again, the bone down on the left. The one up at the top on the left, don't know how well you'd sleep at night with that in your ear. I think I would want to take it out. And I actually have the one in the middle. That was what I got to kind of keep as a placeholder for my ears until I got some rings that are a little bit more permanent, a little bit more decorative. And then the barbell one that goes through, they are different lengths to go through different areas of the skin. Okay, now we're going to get into the warning stuff. This is going to be very graphic. This is something that was done by Native Americans a long time ago, a particular tribe, and it is the idea of piercing the flesh on the upper part of the torso. I'm not sure whether it actually goes through a muscle or not, because the skin is pretty tough. The skin is not going to rip out very easily. But you can see Clint has one pierced on the left, and then he's getting the second one done on the right. So this is actually piercing through the flesh. So now is the time that if you're a bit squeamish, I would go and get a sandwich or a cup of coffee or a strong drink, one of the three, because the next ones are a little disturbing. Okay, if we can go to the next ones, and you guessed it, this is the whole idea. The whole idea is after you insert these rings, the idea is to be suspended from these rings. On the left, he's about ready to lift off, and on the right, he's actually going up in the air, suspended by the flesh on his chest. Ouch. That's about all I can say. But hey, it's an experience. It's something that people want to do. They want to do it with their body. It's, you know, look, I think it's stupid to go climbing on Everest and leave your poop up there for the next 10,000 years. So for me, if you want to do this with your body, that's up to you. If you think that you need this kind of experience and you want to go through this kind of pain and deal with this sort of situation, again, that's up to you. So here is Clint, fully suspended off the ground in the air. I don't know how long these people stay up there, but the Native American tribe, not only did they stay up there, but the object was to rip yourself down off it. It was a tribal rite going through puberty and into manhood. And when you could rip yourself off your own flesh, you were considered a man. This is the aftermath. You can see the hooks. You can see obviously it's bleeding, not nearly as much as I would have thought that it would have bled from such an activity like that. But you can see that it does go through the flesh, and he was suspended directly from the flesh. Now here's the aftermath picture, and it's really interesting. If you look at it, there's just two little marks. It stopped bleeding. And that's not really going to scar all that much. So, I don't know. It seems a bit, extreme for me. But, if people want to do that, if they get some kind of physical, mental, or spiritual advancement through doing this, that really is up to them. Now, here's the bad part too. I wanted to show you a couple pictures of when piercings go wrong. One of the things that I was told, which was surprising when I had my ears pierced, is don't use alcohol and don't use hydrogen peroxide, which we had always done. Every time I'd had my ears pierced before, I used alcohol or hydrogen peroxide to sterilize it. And apparently they dry the skin out and exacerbate the irritation. So these people obviously didn't do what was necessary. What I was told was you actually just wash it with a germicidal soap. Dr. Bronner's worked fine for me. I had no infections whatsoever. They healed up perfectly. But as you can see, these people have some real serious problems. And if left unattended and taken care of, they could cause, you're very close to your brain. This is not a place on your body where you want to be having infections. Your head is not the place for that sort of thing. So I hope these people did get some medical attention and did get some antibiotics in order to clear that up. So there you go. There's some very interesting pictures for you to think about and look at. And again, we're going to be having you call in, especially if you have any piercings. I'd like to talk to you about why do you do this? How do you do it? What do you get out of it? Why do you think other people do it? I'd be very happy to hear from you. So we're going to be opening the phones up after the next session. But first of all, we're going to have a short roll-in, and we're going to be having two new great little roll-ins. We have one that's called Dance Band that we've shown here, where a town actually outlawed dancing at this one venue because they didn't like the guy and they wanted his property. Well, somebody made a music video about it, and it's just as clever as can be. So we're going to see something called The Saga of Santan Flats, which is a little music video. And then after that, we're going to see the extended version of Do As I Say, which is a movie we're actually going to be bringing to Portland later on, probably this month. So sit back and enjoy Saga of Santan Flats and Do As I Say.
There's an Arizona county where some tyrant put a bounty of $5,000 a day when people outside dance the night away. Santan Flat is the place to be for food and fun for the family, but in the county of Pinal, that kind of fun's against the law. You can't dance outside, no, you can't even fake it. This used to be the land of liberty. But everywhere there's freedom, there's someone who wants to take it. And in Arizona, it's Pinal County. Now all the neighbors love this place, but one gal half a mile away, and she calls every night, saying,
all that family fun ain't right.
The sheriff comes out faithfully with a code enforcer and a deputy. But if you play his favorite song, he'll tap his feet and sing along. But he can't dance outside, no, he can't even fake it. This used to be the land of liberty. But everywhere there's freedom, there's someone who wants to take it. And in Arizona, it's Pinal County. Now you may not think it's important that some petty county government infringes on your right to dance outside at night. But if you'd let them do this to you, what other rights are you gonna lose? So hear my wake-up call, 'cause in the county of Pinal, you can't dance outside, no, you can't even fake it. This used to be the land of liberty. But everywhere there's freedom, there's someone who wants to take it. And in Arizona, it's Pinal County. Now the Institute for Justice saw this restaurant being roughed up by some petty bureaucrat who wears a county supervisor's hat. The judge laughed with derision, and he made a swift decision. Now here's what he had to say. Yes, you can dance the night away. Yes, you can dance outside, 'cause IJ's Merry Band helps Santan Flat stand up for liberty. When the Institute for Justice helped this restaurant take a stand, they won the fight for freedom in Pinal County. When IJ's Merry Band took on Pinal County.
Hey, my name's Nick. I'm actually a documentary filmmaker. I was hoping to see if there's any way I could get a message to Mr. Gore.
One day I found out that some of the people I admired the most were living lives in complete contrast to their ideals.
And it was revealed that Vice President Gore used something like 10 times the amount of electricity of the average American household in his house in Tennessee.
And they were getting rich doing it.
I've never owned a share of stock in my life in anything.
For an anti-capitalist, Michael Moore seems to be a pretty good stock picker.
Well, I think people find that stuff funny. Michael Moore owns Halliburton stock.
And if they're getting rich doing it, why not me? So I set off on a trip across the country to see if they'd teach me the secrets of their success.
So you're taking them a cake?
Hi, Mr. Moore. I was hoping to ask you a few questions and talk to you at some point.
Mr. Tucker, I'm here with the Sheriff's Department.
As it happens, most of them don't have much of a sense of humor.
What you really see here, I think, is the elitism at work on these issues.
I pretty much made my money the old-fashioned way. I inherited most of it.
It used to be said that radicals use their ideas as weapons. Now they use them as a marketing opportunity.
Mike, I just wanted to get some stock tips.
I can't even believe that you actually are doing this.
How can this be so hard to believe?
The question is, do the ideas that you espouse actually benefit people, or are they a detriment to people?
Whoa! Donate now, y'all. Donate now.
Their hypocrisy is a remarkable swindle, and they get away with it.
Hypocrisy, at the end of the day, is bad. To believe one thing and to do another is dishonest.
And at a certain point, you realize that the rules you apply to everyone else really shouldn't apply to you.
These are not just statistics. These are flesh and blood people.
They're the only ones sort of smart enough and entitled enough to play games with the system.
From now on, when you hear anything about me, just assume it's not true. I think that's just a safe position to take.
Hi, welcome back to Freedom TV. Yes, remember, do as I say, not as I do. We're actually going to be bringing that to Portland sometime, hopefully this month, November. So keep a lookout for that. We will be letting you know where and when on the show here. So I think you'll enjoy it. It's a very provocative movie, and it also is a very revealing movie about some of these people who like to claim that they are very, very holy. So we're going to open up the phones now, and if you have body piercings, or if you want to discuss body piercings or know anything about body piercings, I'd be very interested to talk to you, because one of the things that I understand is Oregon is actually one of the strictest states in the union for doing any kind of body piercing at all. One of the things we wanted to actually try and do here today was to do an actual body piercing, but the state sort of put a kibosh on that, because you have to have a certain environment and a certain way of doing it and a certain amount of this and a certain amount of that, and so you could not actually do one here in the studio. Although, you know, when I pierced my ears, I just got an ice cube and stuck a needle through it, and that was done, and it never infected, and it was just fine. So one of the things that I'd like to tell you about the show and remind people about is here on the Freedom TV, one of the things that we do is we promote people who are not using taxpayer dollars. Oh, do we have a phone call? Yes? Yes? Do we have a phone call? We don't know whether we have a phone call. Yes? No? Yes? No? Can't hear it in here if we do. Oh, well. Not yet? Okay. Well, anyway, one of the things about Freedom TV is the people that we have on the show, you can pretty much guarantee that every single one of them is somebody who does not run their business or their organization or their private thing that they're doing to help other people using taxpayer dollars. Not a single penny. And that's the whole idea of the people that we're promoting, because we're trying to show you that you don't need a bailout, you don't need taxpayer dollars, and you don't need the government to help you. Yes, do you have a question or do you have a comment about body piercing? Can't hear it in here. Can you turn it up? Yes, hi. You there? No. Well, call back. We want to hear you. We finally figured it out. Yes, and we've had some interesting people on the show in the past who that you would not have thought would have been able to do this on their own, that they, oh my gosh, they must be getting grants from some government agency, and they're not. One of the people that were my favorite people were Snowcap, and they are a food bank that actually feeds almost 4,000 people a month, and they don't get a penny from any government sources or any taxpayer sources. In fact, most of the money that they get is by individuals who donate to them singly, one-on-one. And the people that they help, they are out in Gresham, they help a lot of people every single month. And the number of people that they help is really amazing considering the size of the organization. And one of the things that I found really interesting is that the food that they get, they actually purchase the food, a lot of their food, from the food bank. And contrary to what most people think, the food bank, the Oregon Food Bank, does not give the food away for free. Oh yeah, I didn't know that, did you? No, every organization that gets food from the food bank pays for it. Now I'll tell you a little bit more about that. Do we have a phone call? Hi. Do we have a phone call?
Hello?
Hi. Do you have
Hi.
a comment or a question?
Yeah, I was talking about piercing.
Yes. Yes. Do you have any piercings?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
What
I
kind
have
of piercings
my-
do you have that you
I
can
have
talk
my nose
about?
pierced. I have my belly button pierced.
Really?
Yeah.
And why did you get why do you get piercings?
I don't know. I think it's mostly for the pain. I like it.
You like the pain?
exhilarating.
Is it going through the pain or knowing that you have actually done it?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, it's when I get that piercing, it's just a rush, and I get to experience the pain, and then after I'm done, it's just so exhilarating because I just put a hole in my body.
And one of the theories that I have about why people get piercings is it does give you a sense of empowerment. Do you feel like you are empowered when you get a piercing? That you feel like you have actually overcome something or gone through something?
Oh, yes, definitely. I feel like it's almost a sense of enlightenment, I feel like I have overcome something. It's like almost a spiritual thing inside of you.
Now, are the different piercings that you have, like when I had my ears pierced? I mean, that was nothing. I mean, it was like, what pain? I didn't even feel anything. Different parts of your body, like your belly button, is that more intense than, say, like your ear?
Yeah, it was a little intense because I'm a little overweight. So when they put it through, it was lots of pain. But once I went through, it was amazing. It felt so great.
Really? And
Yeah.
and what do you know about the body piercing that we showed the picture of that looked like it's actually a screw into somebody's body? I mean, there's no out, there's just an in. Do you know what that is or what it's called?
No, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, that was
actually pretty new to me.
That was kind of interesting. So are you thinking about getting more piercings?
Oh, yes. I'm always down for any kind of piercing.
You're always down for a piercing.
Yes.
Well, at what point do you think you'll stop? Is there a point you think you'll stop having places pierced?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go and get my, my downstairs pierced or anything like that.
Yeah, that was kind of a little, I mean, I saw a few pictures of that and I went, oh my God, that's like, certain activities would seem to be a little bit, I don't know, dicey.
Yeah, exactly.
Do that sort of
thing. It's one of those things where you have to set a limit. You can't just take it too far.
Yeah, well, there are a few people I saw on the internet that I thought, oh my.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoa.
Well, can I just say that I really like your scarf?
Okay, great. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on
All
the
right.
show.
Well, thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. And thank you
Okay.
for sharing
Bye-bye.
what you do with piercing. It's very entertaining to me. I mean, I enjoy the fact that people do this. I'm not going to go out and do it. No way. I mean, ears, that's it. That's all I want to have done. I'm happy with that. So, I'm going to stop right there. I like little dangly things and pretty things, and I'm going to go get some silver loops, and I'll be happy with that. But I really enjoy seeing other people do it because for me, it's like free entertainment. I'm not going to go do it, but I'm glad somebody else is happy to provide free entertainment for me. So it's, it doesn't worry me at all. I know some people it upsets them. And I would like to talk to somebody that it does upset because I'd like to find out, well, why? What exactly is it about piercing that upsets people? So we're going to talk a bit more about that. We invite you again to call in. We're going to go to a short roll-in. two short little roll-ins, which are kind of fun. One of them is called Inherited Debt, and it's an idea about something called the 7.6% solution. So this is an idea in lieu of Social Security, and the second part of that is going to be some of the people who have been on the show in the past. This is the Eco Village folks, and they actually have a little short video about a wall that they rebuilt and a bench. So sit back and relax and enjoy Inherited Debt and the Eco Village.
They tell me I was born with it.
They say I'm gonna die with it.
They promised my children would be free of it.
It's only gotten worse.
Today's young Americans have inherited the single greatest financial debt in history, over $13 trillion in unfunded Social Security benefits. In 1950, the fatally flawed system of Social Security functioned with a ratio of 16 workers supporting each retiree. Today, there are 3. For our children, there will only be 2.
We will be the first generation to leave the children and the grandchildren worse off than any other generation.
These poor little innocent children coming into the world now shouldn't have to pay off our debts.
We're going to be basically living off the backs of our children and our grandchildren forever, and they're going to be paying into a system that's going to have absolutely nothing left for them.
But there are some things that you don't compromise, and I think the children's future is one of those things.
Instead of preparing for this long-predicted crisis, Congress has spent more than 20 years raiding the Social Security surplus to pay for other government programs and pork barrel projects.
I'm sick to death of people stealing my money, and that is how I look at it. I look as if I've been stolen from.
The money is not there, it's being taken, and come 15 years from now, we are going to have a serious deficit.
Well, I don't want future generations to be blaming me for the debt that's going to be heaped upon them.
We need to do it for our children's sake. We would not rob from their savings account on a day-to-day basis to buy the groceries, but that's basically what we're doing with Social Security right now.
While Congress continues to ignore the impending Social Security crisis, the burden continues to grow. Every month that goes by without a solution, the system goes $50 billion deeper into debt.
If we don't do something immediately, these problems are going to be almost insurmountable.
We can't fix it 10 years from now, it'll be worse. We can't fix it 15 years from now, it'll be even worse than that.
I'm hoping it's not too late for my generation to do something to help my children and my grandchildren, but I fear that if we don't do something quickly, it is too late to help them.
What if there was a courageous solution to the Social Security crisis? Would Washington even listen?
I will listen to any proposal that might be put up.
I would listen because it affects my children and my grandchildren's future.
I promise you that I will listen.
I can assure you I'll be listening.
We'll listen. We will listen.
I will be very willing to listen to any solution to solve these problems with Social Security. I think it's important for our future, I think it's important for our children's future, and it's important for the health and well-being of our country.
Landscape team has been working with the maintenance team, thinking about the front in Killingsworth and making it more inviting. And we have a TriMet bus stop right there, and people have nowhere to sit. So we're thinking that this cement bench, after it's cleaned up, of course, would make a great place for people to sit. It's been here all the time, hidden in this fire circle, north of the deck and the farmhouse. We're going to lift it and out there and look at it. We think that it'll be really good for these bus riders and for the front.
So Ken, what are you guys doing today?
Well,
We're obeying the laws of feng shui. There's a road here, and the condos here, and the fence was like this. X, 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 X. X's, these big X's.
An exclusive X fence all the way down between posts.
Don't come in. So this one will go up, all the way up, and this one will go down, and they'll end up going straight.
It's now more open.
Instead of all these X's, they'll be straight lines. They'll look better. Like, welcome to Columbia Eco Village. We love you. Please come. And then behind it, we'll put the field fence that I was showing you earlier. It's farm field, field farm, farm field, something like that. Farm, let's see what's it called? Field fencing. And what we'll do is we'll stretch it across all the railroad ties that are out there on their ends. And then you can see these puddles that are in the sidewalk area. We're going to bring in some clover and some chips and plant and beautify the sidewalk and make it so it's not a muddy, wet area and make it easy to walk on.
Hi, welcome back to Freedom TV. That was Eco Village. They were on the program talking about the village of condos that they have created, and they have an incredible garden out there. It's really massive with an incredible amount of food. So you are invited to call in if you have any more questions about piercing, or if you want to make some comments about piercing. I'm happy to hear from people who have them and from people who don't like them, because I'd be very interested to find out, if you don't like them, why? What's wrong with other people piercing their bodies? So it's kind of an interesting concept of people doing body modification this way. One of the things I did find when I was searching around on the internet was that there are some people in Thailand who there is like a festival of body piercing. And when these people pierce their bodies, we're talking about major, big-time piercings. So I'll talk a little bit more about that, but I think we have a caller. Do you have a comment or a question? Yes.
Yes, I had a comment about the piercings that you said that didn't have an out. You just see the piercing.
Yeah, do you know something about those?
Yeah, I actually have my cheek done.
Oh, okay.
And they're called implants or surface piercings or anchors.
How does that work? How do they stay in?
They just go in and surgically put like a little hook.
Oh, so it's like,
so that holds it in there, and then they just put the little barbell on the top, and it doesn't hurt at all.
Oh, okay. So it's actually hooked into the surface of the skin.
Right.
So it doesn't actually go through at all.
Right.
Oh, great. Thank you. I looked at them and I went, okay, how does this work?
Yeah, it's
I mean, I see an in, but I do not see an out.
I have a couple friends that even have their hips done.
They have their hips done?
Yeah, they have their hips pierced like that.
Where would you have it on your hips? The upper hip or?
Not necessarily on the hip bone, but just a little closer, or kind of going towards the belly button.
Oh,
but
okay.
Down more.
Oh, okay.
And then they have it like tattooed around it. It's like really popular with the dark tattoos.
Great. And is this something new? Because I've seen piercing my whole life, and I've never seen that before recently.
I definitely think it's more trendy with girls.
Oh, okay.
It's definitely like a girly tattoo. It's just kind of, I don't know, it doesn't really hurt and it looks really good.
Do you have any concerns about like catching it on something?
Yeah, actually they give you a lot of warnings not to touch it and what to clean it with, because it does bruise. For like the first couple weeks it was kind of purple and black around it.
Oh, so
I'm a snowboarder, and you know, I haven't had any problems since, and I've had it for almost a year now.
Right. So you don't have any problems with it like catching on clothes or anything like that?
You'd think so, but I haven't ran into anything.
Oh, okay.
Like that, plus I'm really careful because I don't want it to happen, because I don't want it to rip out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you for calling in. I really appreciate your letting us know about that, because I was very curious when I saw these. I went, okay, how does this work?
Yeah, it is pretty interesting. piercing.
Great. Thank you. I really appreciate your calling in.
Thank
That's
you.
excellent. Well, see, you get viewership and they give you the information about what this is all about. And what's really interesting, one of the things that I really appreciate about the body piercing is that one of the things I've noticed when I came back from Australia, one of the things I was very concerned about was the fact that people were becoming in the United States very risk adverse. They were not willing to take any kind of a risk at all, even the smallest, tiniest little risk. It was like, oh God, I can't go across the river. It might, what? It's a river, my God, there's a road. You're not being asked to swim it, just drive across the bridge. And one of the things that I liked about the piercing is that this gives me a feeling that people are becoming more not risk adverse, that they're actually willing to take some chances, take some risks, because if you're going to have an entrepreneurial society, if you're going to have a society that's going to progress and is going to achieve things, you have to have people that are willing to take some risk. Because if you're not willing to take a risk, you're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to progress, you're not going to achieve, you're not going to have those great big things happening in the future that we've had in the past. If the Wright brothers hadn't taken the risk of going up in an airplane, hey, they were risking their lives, let's be honest about it, then we wouldn't have had flight. I know there's a controversy about whether they did it or not, but that's beside the point. The thing is that people need to be taking risks, and little tiny risks like getting body piercings, for me, that's an indication, and a hopeful indication, that there are people who are taking back their own determination of their own future. So good on you people. I mean, I'm happy to see it, and I'm glad to see it, and I enjoy body decoration, tattoos, purple hair. I love the hair colors. I think it's really great. Dreadlocks, I think all of it's wonderful, because for me it's a determination and a statement about this is my property and I will do with it what I want. So good for all of you. Well, that's going to be our show today, and thank you for tuning in, and I hope you learned a little bit about piercing and a little bit about what we do here on the show, and you'll join us next Sunday. We do air twice more during the week. I don't put the times up because this actually goes to other states too. So join us next week. We have another exciting program for you, and we'll see you next Sunday at 5 o'clock on Freedom TV. Thank you.
I cry for my country, for the pain that it's been through. She's been made to suffer for the profit of a few. Storm clouds are forming, winds of change now touch our shores. Our hear forefathers are crying as the dream's been cruised. America, I show my love for thee with strength and loyalty. America.